Okay, so just the last couple of things that you might want to play with as you're creating kind of your first After Effects project and learning how it all works. And so a couple of things that you might want to kind of be thinking about uh, would be just how do I like get images like this to do other things like to move around, right? So you could sort of transform them, but this in this case this is kind of like it's a drawn image, right? And so it might be a little bit harder to kind of understand like how that all works. So what I would suggest maybe you do would be to go ahead and create a new composition, title it something like we'll call this I'm going to use the puppet pin tool, so remember that. um, yeah, let's see, we'll go with a preset here of our normal size and click OK. And then let's just go ahead and put something in there that we want to kind of play around with. So um, let's try this one. Okay, so if I drag this one into the middle of this, right? So it's just a Photoshop image that I scanned and then edited in Photoshop a little bit and made some selections. And so if all I really wanted to do was use this image inside of here, I kind of like am in a bit of trouble, right? Because I have that white square around the outside edge. So I could mask it by just using the pen tool and drawing a mask around it, which sometimes works. But another thing that you could try is what we call keying, right? And so keying is again another one of the effects that you can make use of. So if you click on, make sure you have your layer selected, go over here to effects. And this is like a basic sort of way of doing green screening, right? But in this case, we don't have anything that was shot against a green screen, but if we did, this would work. And you can scroll down and you'll see there's a series of effects that are called keying, right? And there are all these like different options that you can choose for keying things out. Maybe the most simple one is just to go with color range. You can just click on that again and drag it onto your layer, and then you'll use this eyedropper here and you just say, okay, I just want to get rid of all the white stuff. Well, this keying automatically just deleted all the white stuff out of there and kind of got rid of it, right? And you can change the fuzziness to like make it a little bit more or less like detailed, whatever it is that you'd like to do. So there's a lot of options that you can kind of play around with there, but we just basically deleted the background. These other ones give you a little bit more control than this one does, but that's the basics of how to key something out. So again, and you can do that with footage if you want to. So like if you come in here to like a something like this and you drop that in there as like your background, let's say, and you want to try to key that out, let's try key light and we'll just drop that one in. It's going to do the same thing where it's going to just basically say, well, what do you want me to get rid of? And I'll say, well, let's get rid of all this green stuff in here, right? And you can change like all the parameters around here to like mess with it to try to get rid of things. There's all these other options that you can like kind of play with too, but basically now again, what I have there is I've deleted this background behind this thing, so that's why it's gone white, right? So if I turn the key light thing back on, so I've just kind of gotten rid of all of that. So you can key light, obviously if I key lighted the red part out, I would have not much left except for this little bit over here and the stuff in the background. So there's a lot of power in using keying and keyframes, or I'm sorry, key lights and green screening that you can use in this project. So think about all that stuff, but for now we just used it to like delete the white background. That's a really awesome deal, especially with a still image. It hardly has to do any work at all for that. And then now if I wanted to make this thing move around the screen a little bit, well, or pulsate, let's say, or do something, I could try transforming it and warping its shape a little bit that way, but there's a tool built into After Effects called the puppet pin tool. That's a really powerful tool that you might want to try using. And there are all these like options here that are underneath this, but the basics of it are that you kind of just pick some points. So you'll drop a point there. Maybe I'd put one here. I'll put one here, here, and here, right? And so now if I move, that's where I'll start. If I move forward in the timeline a little bit and I grab that puppet tool and I stretch it, you can see that I'm just moving those little items around, right? the pins. So now it's going to transform from that spot to this spot, and then I could go back again this way and like really kind of go as crazy as I feel like going. Now it's going to change that way. So it's just distorting my static image and stretching it out, right? So again, if I want to get in there and really see like the activity that's happening beneath the hood, I can keep scrolling down all the way down into this. And these are all the pins that I've added and the places where they are. And I can I could change where these things might happen, so I can really go in there and like mess with it a little bit. The other thing that's really helpful to know is that you can use there's different options underneath this. So there's like a starch pin where if you put that in between an area, like let's say these two areas, it's going to sort of make it harder for that area to get super duper distorted. So sometimes that's helpful because you don't want to get that kind of big giant like weird stretch, right? So if you kind of keep adding like points, it'll change like what's possible for that software to do to that still image. There are the advanced puppet tool, the puppet overlap pin tool. There are all these options in here that you can play around with just to like mess with or alter or change an item, right? And so you could go for it there and then just kind of keep having at it as much as you wanted to with this technique, and really like change the nature of this sort of just chunk of little marks that I've scanned and used and pulled together for this project. So you can see there's a big distortion, right? So I probably wouldn't want that. If I wanted to, I could select that pin and probably delete it and just remove it out of the equation. But there you go. So, and you could see all kinds of things that you can make here that might go along with music or go along with some other kind of motion or activity that you might want to do. But some people make like entire animations of stick figures with this and all that kind of thing. And so the thing you want to watch out for or be aware of is you're going to get distortion and stretching on your original sort of image that you're going to puppet. So you just want to be ready for that.